What's going on, YouTube fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of Hood Tales, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. It's free. It helps get the video out there. Definitely watch this video to the end so you can hear the full story and all the details in this case. Everything in this video is alleged. For my day one fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you're feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. With that being said, let's get right into the story. Marriage, the holy matrimony between a man and woman. It can be a beautiful thing. When you finally meet your person, someone you are in love with and want to spend the rest of your life with. What a lot of people don't understand though, is that's the easy part. Saying I do in front of family and friends. Until death do us apart. And at that time, you might absolutely mean that. The first few years is the honeymoon stage. You wear your ring proudly. You feel like a real adult, a married man or woman, out here starting a family and handling business. Y'all might buy your first home, and that's when the test really starts. Now you are with that person every day. No more girlfriend and boyfriend. When if you get mad, you can just go home or get a break. You have to share and deal with everything together. If your spouse had a bad day and they are in their feelings, you have to deal with that. If they lose their job, you have to pick up the slack. And when life starts lifing, the romance can fall to the wayside. The last thing on y'all mind, now your marriage is being tested. For some, they decide to not get a divorce, but to separate, to see if this is really what they want. And some even date during the separation, not thinking about, what if I decide to go back with my husband or wife? How would this person I'm dating deal with that? And depending on the individual, things can go left real fast. And on this episode of Hood Tales, we'll be taking it to Houston, Texas, to discuss the recent case of a man who went to pick up his wife's baby and her baby father took his life. Just last month, 36-year-old Marlon Sanders was living a fulfilled life in Texas. Described as a loving man with a big personality who genuinely loved and cared about people, from strangers to the people in his life. Called the big teddy bear, he was well loved in his community of Port Arthur, Texas. Marlon was well accomplished, college educated, a part of the fraternity and brotherhood Omega Psi Phi, where he was a proud member. He often hung out with his frat brothers. After college, Marlon went on to become an educator, working at a Port Arthur elementary school as a music teacher, where his kids loved him. They all looked forward to his class. He made sure to connect with them on a different level and build a foundation where they felt comfortable and safe to be themselves. He also was a beloved coach, basketball and football, and taught the kids life lessons they could take with them off the court and field, and a proud father. All his colleagues loved Marlon, who was always smiling, in a good mood, and giving out good energy. Outside of work, he was also into music and church, as he would sometimes DJ in the area. But in his personal life, things were just getting back stable. Marlon was a married man. His wife, who we will call Shay for the sake of the story, was the love of his life. They were in a good place and rebuilding their foundation after reconnecting. See, a few years prior, the marriage was rocky, so they both decided to mutually take a break. They went their separate ways, and life went on. Shay started dating and would find herself in a relationship with a man in his 30s named Gary Davis. Gary and Shay were locked in, to the point she would find herself pregnant with his child. But as time went on, she felt the relationship wasn't working out and it had ran its course. After she gave birth to the baby, she decided to reconcile her relationship with her husband Marlon. Still very much in love with his wife, he took her back with open arms, new baby and all. Now she had to co-parent with Gary. As everyone was trying to be adults in a situation, Shay didn't keep Gary away from his child, who was 9 months old. She would drop the baby off so they could spend time together, and she did just that one day last month. After a few days, the visitation was over, and it was time for her to go pick the baby up. She wasn't alone though. She was with her husband, Marlon. As they headed to Houston, Gary allegedly texted her, "I'm not feeling this, and I'm on that type of time," indicating he wasn't trying to get a baby back. When they pulled up to the house, Marlon sat in the car while Shay got out to go pick up the baby. She could be heard yelling, "Gary, give me my baby," as he said, "Who you came with?" With that brief confrontation, Gary walked back in the house, then outside, straight to the car, where Marlon was waiting at. Seconds later, shots went off. Police were called to the location. When they got to the house, they found Marlon suffering from multiple gunshot wounds, and unfortunately, he wouldn't survive his injuries. Gary had fled in another vehicle, but surprisingly, he would call Shay's phone as she was talking to police. Once he realized a detective answered the phone, he hung up. It wouldn't take long though for Gary to be tracked down, taken into custody, charged with first-degree hit. Neighbors who heard the commotion spoke to the news. One woman claimed she heard a woman yelling, "Give me my baby," then a gut-wrenching scream saying, "You shot my husband." She looked outside and saw Shay doing CPR on Marlon. Another neighbor who was familiar with Gary claimed he was known for having severe anger problems, and it wasn't far-fetched for him to snap and do what he did. As the news of Marlon's passing got back to his colleagues and students, they were devastated. Some felt, how could a good man with such a big heart go in such a tragic way? They spoke on the impact he left on the school and everybody he came in contact with. As they sung songs in remembrance of the man, their hearts were heavy, and his chair in the music class sat empty. As Gary went in front of a judge, he sat quietly as his charges was read out. As of now, he is being held without bail and is innocent until proven otherwise. Rest in peace to Marlon. I send my prayers and condolences to his family and friends. He was just giving thanks for living to see another year and birthday, and a few days later, he was gone. There's so many layers to this story. Marlon and his wife split for almost 3 years. She got pregnant by Gary. I know Marlon had to love her to be willing to reconcile after her having another man's baby, who was only 9 months old. I'm going to end this one with a few questions though, fam. For one, do y'all think Gary felt played that Shay went back to her husband after having his baby and he just snapped? Second, for my fellas, if you were Marlon, would you have took your wife back with another man's baby? Third, for my ladies, do y'all think Shay should have just focused on herself when things with Gary didn't work out because she had just had a baby and things were too fresh to go back to Marlon, even though that was her husband? Let me know y'all thoughts on the situation in the comments. And remember, we gotta succeed, not to fail, so we won't be just another hood tale. Yeah, man, it's a crazy story. Like I said, it's a lot of layers to this one, so I'm gonna leave it up to y'all. Y'all let me know in the comments. Rest in peace to Marlon. I definitely send my prayers to his family though. But I ain't gonna talk too much more about this one. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. Y'all already know it's all love, fam. It's another episode of Hood Tales. It's your boy Tony 2 times. I'm out.